Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new Skyrim challenge video. My name is Tion, and today we're going to be figuring out whether you could beat the Dark Brotherhood quest with only Telekinesis. A lot of people don't even know about Telekinesis as it's a pretty hard spell to get and it's hard to find accidentally. Especially at level 1, there are only a few places to find Telekinesis just laying around. Also, Telekinesis does not do any damage by itself. Throughout this entire run, we're going to have to throw items at opponents, whether that be a sword or a cabbage. Also, before we get into this, I did end up streaming the last part of this on Twitch, so that's why you will see chat on the top right of the screen. Also, if you're interested, the link will be in the description to follow the Twitch below. The rules for this run is going to be pretty simple. Use telekinesis to kill your opponents. And no, that does not mean we're able to bash our opponents' heads in with a sword and then finish them off with a cabbage. If an outside force damages an opponent, that is fine, but we can only use telekinesis and nothing else. And with this boring intro out of the way, let's get into this, guys. After watching a dude trying to escape and then getting murdered, we have to choose our character. I end up going with a dark elf here. Now, I've never played as a dark elf before, but I end up choosing him because magic. After injecting our character with steroids, we end up naming him Magic Boy. After getting our head almost chopped off, an oversized bird saves us. But Tion, you may be asking yourself, how are you going to get past this part of the game if you can't attack anybody? Well, for the entirety of this intro, I just end up letting Rayloff kill literally everybody, and I did not do any damage to anyone, and I had to leave my poor boy alone to do all the work. Slowly but surely, we do end up finding our way out of this cave, and it's time to go find telekinesis. After a quick Google search, I found out where to find a spell tomb for telekinesis at level 1. And funnily enough, the hardest part of getting the spell tomb was getting the DLC to actually get this spell. Bethesda made it really hard for you to buy the DLC, and I was unable to, so after doing some shaky legal stuff, I finally have the Dawnguard DLC. This place is only available once you actually have the Dawnguard DLC, so eventually I do end up finding the spell tomb after getting roasted alive. I eventually make my escape and look at my spell tomb telekinesis, and I honestly think it's not going to be too hard, but this thing costs so much magic to cast per second. It costs 145 magicka per second to cast this spell, and I don't even have 100 magicka, so I can't even use this spell for a second. Once I make my way to Riften, I end up finding a cabbage and using it to grind up my alteration. Honestly, I wish I was joking when I said this, but I spent an hour of my life picking up this cabbage with a spell. The reason I do this is so I could get my alteration up to level 50. Once your alteration is at level 50, you're able to get a perk that lets you cast adept level alteration spells for half the magicka. And I just now realized while editing this, I probably should have got a robe that increased my magicka because I just ended up wasting a lot of my own time. And after 47 years, I finally get my alteration up to level 50. And once I got my juicy alteration perk, we're off to kill Grelid. Oh yeah, quick note, I was also experimenting what you could do with telekinesis and how far away you could actually grab stuff, and look how far you could grab items. That's, goodbye, cabbage. You will be missed, cabbage. I'm not sure where you're sailing off to, but I promise I'll find you one day. I then go into the orphanage, pick up some bread, throw it at Grelid, it hits her in the foot, and she ends up dying. I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took a loaf of bread to the foot. I then go to the kid who wanted her dead, and this is before he even told me to kill her. Like, I killed her first, and then I ended up telling him that I already killed her. I have no idea why he believed me, but okay. After killing someone with a loaf of bread, I was really tired, so I ended up going to bed, but I woke up in a random house. She then tells me to kill somebody, and all I have is telekinesis, and my loaf of bread is nowhere to be seen, so this lantern will do. Yeet! After that vicious kill, I was invited to join the Dark Brotherhood, and obviously I did, or the title would be different. Nazir gives me my first few contracts, and I'm off. The first chick is some annoying miner lady, so not a miner, oh my gosh. You can't sneak attack using telekinesis because it literally makes the loudest sound known to man. I found out if you just stand on a bed, they have a really hard time getting to you, so I just ended up standing on this bed until my magicka regained, and eventually what the heck? I threw that kettle at her literally 37,000 times, and she ends up dying because she tripped over it. That's probably one of the most funny ways to take somebody out. And yes, Karen, that does count. Next is this random dude who's camping in the middle of nowhere, but no need to fear, guys. I did end up bringing a cabbage for this battle. I did end up turning my difficulty all the way down because screw that, man. I was able to take a lot of hits from him, but I had to end up going on top of this tent here to get my magicka back because once again, telekinesis is not a very cheap spell to cast. Obviously, this did take a while, and I just think killing people with food is absolutely hilarious, and I didn't want to cut out everything because I wanted to prove to you guys that I actually did this, so here's the footage sped up. Even at the lowest difficulty, this was extremely hard to do. As my cabbage almost escapes, I pick up my cabbage, throw at him one final time, it bounces off a rock and kills him. Well, that's 2 down, about 300 left to go. Next up is this homeless guy, and he was so hard to kill because he was in the middle of a city, and it was just awful because everybody was attacking me. It probably took me about an hour to actually kill this guy because, like I said, all these guards and the townspeople were after me because apparently this drunk dude is loved by the community. And yes, I yeeted this guy with the cheese wheel. I head back to the Dark Brotherhood sanctuary, and then I tell Nazir I completed all the contracts, and he makes an awful pun about every single person that I've killed, and I honestly loved every second of it. Next, I have to talk to this chick, and she tells me to kill people right next to a guard, and this dude literally doesn't do anything about it. He just sits here and stares at me this entire time. I thought it was funny, so here you go. This dude named Elaine Defon also took a little bit to do because he was surrounded by his buddies, and his buddies did not really like me throwing cabbages at him. Finally, after countless resets, I finally do end up killing Elaine Defon with a cabbage, and then I run away, leaving my poor cabbage behind. Next, I do this optional one, and it did take a while once again because her husband just kind of sat there and let me kill her, but the guards were actually mad at me, so once I did get rid of her, I end up running away. At this point, I'm wanted by half the cities in Skyrim, but then I decide to defile a coffin because that's just what I need to do. Once I'm inside the coffin, apparently I am someone called the Listener. This little midget yells at me, and then I have to go kill someone once again. Surprisingly enough, using this kettle, I was able to do a massive amount of damage, but this person was in the middle of a big city again, so of course the guards were on me. The next person I have to kill is this vampire named Hearn. Now I do end up throwing a kettle at this guy as well, and for some reason, once again, these beds are just broken. Like I said, this guy is a vampire, so he does have access to certain spells that can actually hit us from here, but for some reason, he just tries to hit us with an axe the entire time. Once my magicka comes back, I throw this kettle at Hearn once again, and it finishes him off. I then put Hearn in his final resting place, and it's back to Nazir. After we get our money from Nazir, we have to go talk to this guy who ends up wanting the Emperor dead. After this, we get a necklace evaluated, and then we have to go kill someone else that will help put our plans in motion. First, we have to kill this lady on her wedding day, so I take a grilled chicken breast, throw it at the bride, and it ends up killing her in only one hit. I have no idea how a grilled chicken breast kills somebody in one hit, but okay. Next, we have to kill this guy named Commander Morrow. Now, he was an absolute idiot as I just stood on a tree trunk and threw stuff at him, but meanwhile, a troll decided to interrupt and hurt us both. I literally tried my best to kill this troll, but of course, trolls have really good regeneration, and eventually this guy gets back to full HP, so I got pretty mad because I spent like 20 minutes getting him down. Now, this troll does end up bringing him all the way back down to his sliver of HP, so I take him down with the robes and then run away and completely forget to plant the evidence on him. Eventually, I do find my way back, plant the evidence, and then go back to Gabriella. But of course, Cicero went crazy and ended up attacking everybody. Now there's blood everywhere, our lizard is hurt, and we have to go save him, or stop him, or something. Now, I'm sure I could beat Cicero with telekinesis only, but I decided not to because I'm not crazy. It's completely optional, and I was able to run by literally everybody, and this troll somehow hit me through a door, and then it opens, and I thought this was gonna end in death, but I somehow end up escaping. Next, I had to get this chef to tell me who the gourmet is, so I had to steal his identity, and I finally end up killing him with a bucket. This was really hard to do considering this was literally the place where the Jarl lived, and a million guards were after me. I finally do end up escaping and riding away on Shadowmere. What was that, Shadowmere? Subscribe and like the video if you're enjoying so far. Wow, I completely agree. Once I go to where the gourmet is, I end up picking up this loot and killing him with it in only one hit. I have no idea why, but I found this completely funny that a loot would kill somebody. Finally, it is time to kill the Emperor. I put on my chef's hat and it's time to cook the most delicious stew known to man. I honestly just end up putting normal ingredients in this besides a giant stove because everybody puts weird ingredients in here and thinks it's hilarious. It's really not. Stop. Now, one way to kill the Emperor is to use some poison that Astrid gave us, but of course we cannot do that because we have to kill him with telekinesis. So when the dialogue gives us the option, we just choose not to use it. After everybody chows down on my delicious stew, I take this giant platter, hit the Emperor in the face, and he ends up dying. I also end up stealing his clothes because yeah. And oh my gosh, surprise, surprise, what do you know? That was a fake emperor and we've been set up by our own clan. Man, I wonder how we're gonna get out of this one. You are literally able just to walk past these people and escape through this exit. It is the easiest thing I've ever done in my entire life. Once I make it back to the Dark Brotherhood hideout, there is only one person that we actually have to kill. This is Nazir's attacker, and the only objective is to end up killing this dude, even though Nazir tries to steal our kill many times. Now, this did take a very long time because I only had food to throw at this dude, so eventually we do get his HP all the way down, and Nazir legit comes in last second and tries to take the kill from me. He's so low on HP, but I also have no magicka left, so I just have to wait for it to regen. I have to slow this one down for you guys because I know you'd be like, oh, Nazir tried to steal your kill, but if you look, the cheese hits him half a second before his sword connects.
Yes, Karen, it counts!
I then once again defile this grave. Astrid was actually the one to set us up, so I end up taking her blade of woe and throwing it into her face with no remorse. This dead chick who I've slept with twice at this point tells us to fulfill our contract and kill the real emperor. We then go speak to this dude who wants the emperor dead once again, and he tells us exactly where to find him. I end up finding this ship not using the marker at all. I'm just a pro tracker, and I just use my pure skill and intellect to find it. Now normally this is a pretty hard part of the game to get through, especially if you're just using telekinesis, but there are only two doors stopping us from getting to the emperor. The only bad part is those two doors are master locks. If we could pick those successfully, we're definitely in the clear. The first door comes, and after only 2 lockpicks, we're able to get past it. Also notice how there are literally a ton of enemies after me right now. I eventually find the other door we have to get past. Now this did take a few resets and a few tries, but eventually I do end up getting into the emperor's quarters. And for some reason, I have no idea why, none of these people who are coming after me come into the emperor's quarters whatsoever. This is extremely unrealistic because I literally didn't take out a single guard. The real emperor then gives us a sap story about how we must kill him and how he has to accept his destiny, blah blah blah. I was tired of him whining, so I killed him with some wine. Please laugh. And we did it, guys. We beat the main part of the Dark Brotherhood quest using only telekinesis. I really don't want to make this outro too long, so if you enjoyed, make sure to hit that like button below. And if you want to see more challenges like this, subscribe and leave a suggestion in the comments below. Thanks a ton for watching to this point, guys. I really do appreciate your support, and I will see you guys in the next video. Hopefully, at least.